Hey guys, Lexus Driver here. Now, I know this is going to be a pretty short video, so I'll try and keep this as short as possible, probably about 10 or 12 minutes or something. But uh, I'm going to be explaining, I'm going to be doing character comparisons here because a few days ago I did watch the sequel of Zootopia 2. It was really good. I really love the movie. I highly recommend you guys should watch it. And I might say a bit of spoilers here, so if you haven't watched the film, I suggest you don't watch this. But if you have, then you're in the clear. You can watch this. Now, as you can see on my screen here, what I have on the right is the main antagonist, Milton Lynxley, and what I have on the left is Don Salieri from the Mafia game. I also have Don Morello here just so I can do more comparisons. But I'm gonna focus on Don Salieri first, then I'll move on to Don Morello because the reason why I decided to also compare to Don Morello as well is because I made a comment on YouTube from a video that um, that Milton Lynxley also has some similarities as Don Morello, but I'm going to start with Don Salieri. If you got for my viewers and subscribers who have played the Mafia Definitive Edition games, specifically the first Mafia game, Mafia Definitive Edition, you can stick around with me. But if you haven't watched it, don't watch. If you haven't watched the movie Zootopia 2, don't watch it. But if you did, you can stick around. So, anyways, the first time I saw, Milton Lynxley, uh, he uh, he reminds me of Don Salieri, and the reason why he reminds me of Don Salieri, it's because apart from his personality, um, like when you first see him, like when he gives his speech, you get this feeling he's an honorable guy. He's very like very calm, very collective. But deep down, you see how much of a scumbag he is. When you see his ruthlessness, and given that I would totally compare Milton Lynxley to Don Salieri. They're both greedy. They're both hypocrites, and they're both liars. How I find they're similar. Milton Lynxley, he's very greedy in trying to keep his family legacy alive, which is basically a lie and a fraud. Um, and also what and also another similarity is they're both doing what's willingly that they will do to keep power. um, that's a similarity. That's why my first impression of Milton Lynxley, the first time I saw Milton Lynxley, he reminds me of Don Salieri. Now, for Don Morello here, uh, one reply I got from the comments on that particular video. He says that well, I wouldn't say he. That the reply says he's also more like Don Morello. Milton also more like Don Morello. So just to be fair, and just to be fair, in the comparisons, I would solely compare Milton Lynxley to Don Salieri. But given his ruthlessness, Milton Lynxley, I would say he's a combination of Don Salieri and Don Morello because they're both aggressors. Particularly on Morello's side, but also he's also an aggressor for comparing to Don Salieri. Now, Milton Lynxley, um, we don't see his wife in the film. It's unknown what happened to his wife. We don't know what happened we don't know what happened to his wife. We don't see her in the sequel, but uh, there's a possibility his wife either divorced him or she passed away. But if that's the case of when she divorced him, it's likely, she's if she likely divorced him, it's likely that uh, she wanted to break away from her ex-husband's toxic his toxic attitude, especially when he's trying to keep his memory of the Lynxleys alive, even willingly going as far as for his kids, whom he only views them as minions. Um, Catrick, Kitty, and Paubert Lynxley. Now, Paubert is the youngest, and he totally lost it. Um, so, um, for comparison between Don Morello and Milton Lynxley, I think the only comparison I could do between Don Morello and Milton Lynxley is they're both aggressors, and for Don Salieri here, his calm attitude, reminds me of, well, from one particular scene I can remember in the one particular scene I can remember uh, from the Zootennial Gala. Milton, he talks calm, he talks collective, especially when he was going to give that speech, but eventually the speech he was given got what's this called, the speech he was giving got interrupted after the snake comes, and after Judy and Nick are on the run, also Gary the snake is also on the run. He threatens Mayor Winddancer, and that's when I feel like his attitude I would compare to Don Morello, but still I would still compare Milton Lynxley to Don Salieri. And differences, obviously, the only differences is Milton Lynxley is the main antagonist of Zootopia, an anthropomorphic character, whereas Don Morello and Don Salieri here, they're antagonist of the Mafia Definitive Edition game. Though Don Salieri, he's the main antagonist because eventually he screws over his guys, especially when it comes to boosting the cigars, Tommy, Polly, and Sam boosting the cigars. They think the cigars also contains a loot of diamonds, but it turns out it was dope, illegal drugs, heroin. So that's the differences. Is Milton Lynxley, anthropomorphic character, whereas Don Salieri and also Don Morello, uh, they're humans. Obviously, because in the Mafia games, it's humans. Um, Now, one more comparison between Milton Lynxley and Don Morello here. Um, they both have family members, but the only difference is Don Morello has a brother, whereas Milton Lynxley he has three kids. Catrick, as I said, Catrick, Kitty, and Paubert. Though he favors more of Catrick, and he favors more of his oldest son and his daughter than his youngest son Paubert. And look what happened to Paubert. Paubert just went into a descent of Paubert just went into a descent of villainy. Um, trying to get approval from his dad, but look what that happened to him. So I do feel bad for Paubert, but I don't. Half of me makes me feel bad for him, but the other half makes doesn't want me to make me feel bad for him because he got what he deserved in the end of the film. He betrayed Judy, left Gary for dead. Uh, Knocked out Nibbles and tried to kill Nick. So, Paubert got what he deserved in the end. So now, okay, I forgot. Now, for Don Morello here, he has a family member, typically his brother. He doesn't have any children, but typically he has a brother. He has a brother, Sergio Morello. But since it's Italian, that's how they say the name Sergio. Whereas where I'm from, we say Sergio. Um, the only difference, between the relationship, they're both, they're both still, they're both brothers. They're like Don Morello doesn't use his brother as a tool. Sergio Morello, he since he's underboss and the brother, he would do anything to maintain the he would do anything to maintain the power in the Morello crime family, of, especially the power grab of Lost Heaven. That's Lost Heaven is based on Chicago. But overall, that's the best comparison I can go for. Because as I said about my first impression of Milton Lynxley, he reminds me of Don Salieri. But anyway, guys, that's all I have this video. I know this video is pretty short. I just want to do a very short video to do a comparison video between two characters from two contents. One is a movie, the other's a video game. Comparison between Milton Lynxley and Don Salieri, and also a bit of Don Morello. So, as I said, just to be fair for the comparison, I would say that Milton Lynxley, he's a combination of Don Salieri and Don Morello. But anyway, guys, that's all I have this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, and be sure you hit that notification bell so you can stay updated on new content I have on my YouTube channel. But anyway, guys, that's all I have this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye, and have a good day, everybody.